Hello, so in this video I'm recording a clip basically of the new Southeast Asia package created by FSX WAR with the F4 Phantom. I'm using Rex Essentials here with this sort of overdrive thing, and I sort of wanted to show this video as a kind of demonstration of the interesting sort of bombing modes and the limitations of them at the same time when you have such low visibility. So in this thing there's a bridge, which I think is the fourth mission they give, and the visibility is absolutely terrible, and I'm trying to fly through a sort of mountainside. I've set the settings of the bombing run such that it's six Mark 82s dropped with an interval between them of 0.2 seconds, and it's in laydown mode, which means it's basically you visually hit the target and then at some point the aircraft drops the bombs automatically at the calculated point. And the settings that I put in is the reticle position, and that I will be 2,000 feet above sea level, whereas the target is 830 feet, which I had to find in a previous mission, and I'm flying at 450 knots true airspeed. So the method that I've tried to use to help me, which I shouldn't theoretically use, because the INS is questionably, well, the accuracy of it can be questionable at times, but basically I found the coordinate of it, and I'm using that at a course of 170, which I found that would be the bridge, and such that theoretically if I fly that course I should be able to hit the runway, sorry, not the runway, the bridge. And so here I think I'm going to pickle about now. I'm going fast and slightly high, but I can't actually see the bridge, so I have to hope that it's right from what I've done so far. You can just see the edge of the sort of plumes of the bombs by the left of the runway when I look back. It's just by, and basically I ended up being parallel with the runway by give or take 20 meters. When I looked at the sort of after report on FSX WAR, it basically said that I destroyed a couple of trucks. That was my 6th attempt against the bridge, and my 5th attempt I actually managed to get a direct hit on the runway. But the reason is because each time I've been flying with the sort of real weather settings, the visibility's been absolutely terrible. So it's been a rather interesting mode, and it's very interesting to kind of use the older sort of technology with this. I mean, theoretically the way that I'm sort of cavalrying around and just going with whatever on the targets is a bit sort of questionable, because I should have probably crashed into a mountain by now, judging by the visibility. So then the next clip in question is basically an approach, and this is something frankly I screwed up on, which was a sort of learning experience with it, which is basically that with the ILS beacon, the F4 Phantom that Milviz made doesn't use ILS, so basically I'm literally just using the TACAN frequency that comes off it and then putting a course of the runway, which is 117. But the problem is that I also used the distance that the HSI provided, and I kind of figured out later on that actually the HSI, or sorry, well, the ILS beacon's actually at the opposite end of the runway versus the beginning, which is a mistake, and I only would have known this had, say, for instance, the ILS beacon shown height as well. But given that it doesn't, I was in a interesting situation, frankly. And you can see here that eventually I clock the runway, which is, you know, sort of rather concerning, and I end up sort of just having to make quick changes. I mean, the angle of attack, I'm going way too fast right now. I'm low, admittedly, because there is no sort of height thing to help me work it down, so then I just have to stay low. Angle of attack goes a little bit higher, kind of punch thrust across, do this sort of turn, and just kind of yanking it around. As you can see by the PAPI lights, I'm high right now, and, well, sorry, low rather, and I end up landing right and past the sort of landing mark and right a bit. I mean, I guess the touchdown's okay. I was a bit too soft, and I ended up kind of floating. I think had I figured out earlier with the ILS beacon that it was at the beginning of the runway versus the end of the runway, then it would have been far smoother. But you know, I'll be sure not to make that mistake again. But anyway, you know, the FSX WAR and CCP and everything, it's very sort of enjoyable to try these sort of challenges in the weather around in the areas. It's very interesting to try, so I'd certainly heavily recommend it. Thanks.